friends, and welcome to another colour along. Today we are colouring from Tiny Tales Volume 2. Volume 2 is Houses, Dragons, Oceans, Knick-knacks and Christmas. And we're going to be colouring from the Knick-knacks page. And it's this collection of little train-related illustrations. So I have a steam train, a little conductor's watch, some luggage and a passport. And I do have a sheet of paper and a sheet of acetate in this page, just to protect the page behind it. And I think we should start with that train. I'm going to start with the coral red and the vivid red. I'm going to kick off with my coral red. I'm just going to imagine what this train would look like. You know, that beautiful Victorian sort of burgundy red. So the coral red's my underpainting. I'm just going to bring in the vivid red, which will just darken it a little bit, but leave the coral red as highlights. And I have been looking forward to colouring this little cute train. Ever since I put it into this book. I'm going to leave that to be like a black. I think that funnel could be red to about there. I'm going to bring just a touch of geranium in. And this is just a bit darker. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my vivid red. Just sort of blend that a little bit. I don't want to get too carried away with the blending because it's only a tiny little yellow. And when you're blending with the markers, it can tend to get out of hand quick smart. I think we've given ourselves a good base for the reds. Oh, I'm going to bring in some neutral greys. This is a Ohuhu, which is pretty dark. Let's bring in something a little bit lighter. A neutral grey 051. And back to our darker one, 080, just to add in some shadows. And with that darker one, I'm going to colour in underneath this little arch here. Now I think what we need is some brass. I'm going to kick off my brass with some melon yellow. I just think I'm going to bring in some green to contrast with our red. This is Lieberman green. I'm going to bring in a deep sky blue, which although it says blue, it's sort of greeny. I think that Lieberman green would even look good in our little shield here. I'm going to use the melon yellow for the wings. And back to our neutral greys. This is a neutral grey 021. I'm just going to use that to colour in some of this smoke. And I'm going to bring in that 051 neutral grey. And blend it back in with the 021. I think these wheels could be that grey on the inside. And I'm going to do vivid red for the little circles. Now this is a neutral grey 041, which I'm going to use just to bring some shadows in those wheels. Right, I've got a Helsinki green here. And this looks like a pretty upmarket train, so it's going to have glass in the windows. And while I've got that Helsinki green, let's do some sky. So I'm going to start out with a colourless blender. I just want to flood an area with that colourless blender. And while it's still wet, bring our Helsinki green in. And then come back with a colourless blender. Just blur those edges a bit. Alright, let's bring that Helsinki green in just a little bit under here. And maybe we'll do that on this side as well. And while it's wet, I'm going to just blur the edges with that colourless blender. I did both ways, with the colourless blender down first and then colourless blender down second here. We'll see which one dries better. As I always say, these books are so much fun for just playing because there's no pressure. You know, little illustrations so you can just have a quick play with your new medium or a new colour or a new technique. And if it doesn't work out perfectly, that's all right because you can just go on to the next illustration. That's what I love about these little Tiny Tales books. It's all just fun and quick and takes the pressure off. So if you're looking to build your confidence as a colorist, then jump in. I forgot to say at the beginning that if you don't have this Tiny Tales book, then this page comes as part of the Colour Club pack for September. Those Colour Club packs include all of the illustrations I colour in a month. So you can grab that pack if you don't have all the books and you'll still be able to colour along. All right, well, I'm pretty happy with that train. Let's move down to the next thing, which is our little conductor's watch. So I've already got their melon yellow in play. Let's continue with that. Bring some darker colour. This is a marigold, which is a little bit more orange. Well, I've got that marigold. I'm going back up to my train. Just going to add in a little bit of that for fun. All right, this is our neutral grey 021, which we used on the wheels. I'm just going to use it here as a bit of a shadow on that watch face. You know, I think I'm going to bring in some fun colour. What about orange? Just a straight orange. Just to give us some really nice bright highlights. And you know what? I think I'm even going to do some Helsinki green. And then my colourless blender again. We'll bring it out, blend some edges. All right, we're going to move down to the next thing. We have a suitcase, which looks well travelled. It's got some stickers on it with a little hat on it. We need some brown, so I've got a thin persimmon here. I'm going to make this one of those suitcases I went to school with when I was a little kid. Being careful to leave those stickers clear because I don't want to make it all brown. And then I'm going to bring in some red bean. That's what this is called. And bring back my thin persimmon because I want to blend those colours together. A bit more of that red bean. And yeah, I think we should bring some of that red from the steam engine. So I've got a vivid red here. Of course, that heart needs to be red, doesn't it? I was wondering about making the little end caps of our suitcase that red too, and maybe even the handle. I'm all about having colours that work through on this page, even though the illustrations are all separate. If you just bring similar colours in, you can tie it all together. So this is our wine red. And I think a coral red would not go astray on this little hat band here. And then I might add into that with some of this vivid. And then end it off with that wine red. Like a hat, green hat, Lieberman green, maybe even. And a deep sky blue. I just want to blend that in a little bit with the Lieberman. A melon yellow wouldn't go astray in those petals. All those buckles, or even that little sticker. And I might even bring in some marigold to the base there. What about an orange centre? Right, let's play with our Helsinki green. What do you think? We'll add that Helsinki green in around here. And then, of course, our colourless blender. And let's just leaving our little passport here. You know what? I think that passport's going to have a burgundy colour cover. So I'm starting out with the coral red, which is what I started out painting my train with. And while I've got that out, I'm going to do that handle the same. Then I'm going to bring the darker colour. This is a vivid red. And of course some wine red to end that off. And a thin persimmon, I think this is like a little wooden stamp, isn't it? So bring that thin persimmon in, and then maybe even some red bean. And I think some melon yellow. And some marigold. All right, let's talk about these pages. I want something really, really light, creamy sort of vibe. I might just bring in a shell white. Don't want those pages to be white. Let's shell white. I just want to bring highlights in, so I'm going to bring my colourless blender in and just use it to take out some of that shell white, so we've got highlights on these pages. Right, now I think I'm going to bring in that Lieberman green. Make some of these stamps. This looks like the one that's just been stamped, doesn't it? I think they're in Egypt. Is that where this illustration came from? I think it might be an inset illustration from Around the World, Mr. Fogarty, and this is where he's getting his passport stamped in Egypt. I could be wrong, but I could be right. And you never know, this is on the ground It's not in the sky. I'm going to use my Helsinki green to create a lovely backdrop to this picture. I'm not even going to use the colour splendor, I'm just going to leave it as a circle. But what I am going to do is bring in some cool grey. No, this is neutral grey 041. Just want to have some shadows really working here for us. Yeah, I think we could do some shadows here as well. And seeing as I introduced a new colour, that shell white, I'm going to bring that back in. This suitcase can have some ground that it's sitting on. Maybe even our train. I'm just going to bring back that red bean because that orange centre of that flower is just freaking me out a little bit. But I'm going to leave the orange as a highlight, but darken that centre. Now that makes me feel better. All right, let's bring in some coloured pencils. I've got a white pencil here. This is a Prismacolor. A very blunt Prismacolor. I just want to bring highlights in, but not necessarily with the with an ink pen. Maybe we just do a subtle highlight with this coloured pencil. Look at that. So much dimension added just with a few touches of a pencil. Might do the same thing to this little watch, although we don't have a lot of room to work with, do we? And I notice I've got the light coming from here, but on this one I've got it coming from here. It's a different illustration. Come on, guys, give me a break. And this one's gone back to from being from here, the light source. Really see how well that's worked, sucking the colour out with the colour splendor, just to give us like the light falling across those pages. What do you think? I think we might be done. I was going to go to town with pencils and all sorts, but I think, you know what, I think we're done. Just one little white pencil finished it all off. Well, lots of fun. I really loved colouring that train in and all of the bits that sort of create the story of the train. I hope you enjoyed colouring along with me. And once again, Tiny Tales Volume 2 is where you can find this page, and you'll also find it in the September Colour Club pack. I'm going to say goodbye for now, but I'll no doubt see you in another video. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.